A major lineup change is coming. Mitchell Robinson and OG Anunoby are very close to returning. That means a fully healthy Knicks team is right around the corner. Once the Knicks are back to full strength, a player on this team will have to be removed from the rotation to make room for Robinson and OG Anunoby. And thanks to an NBA insider, they helped confirm what player will be removed from the rotation once the Knicks are back at full strength. We're going to break down all of these latest reports today. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and make sure you have notifications turned on. So that way, anytime we drop new content, you get notified. And now, let's get started. The Knicks are making a major lineup change. The wait is almost over. A fully healthy Knicks team is right around the corner. Mitchell Robinson and OG Anunoby are very close to returning. In the case of Anunoby, he probably could have returned last night against the Bulls, but the Knicks did not put him in the game because they're on a back-to-back. And tonight, they're facing off against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Even though last night's game went into OT and the Knicks were pushed aggressively in that game, we were still able to get the win without Anunoby and Josh Hart playing. I expect both of these guys to be active and available tonight against the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think they both could have played last night against the Bulls, but the Knicks held them out because they knew they were going to need them fresh, healthy, active, and available tonight against the Cleveland Cavaliers, the more important matchup. But now that the Knicks are starting to get fully healthy and we're starting to get players returning, that begs the question, how will Tom Thibodeau utilize a fully healthy Knicks roster? Will he expand the rotation to 10 players? If you think that Thibodeau is expanding this rotation to 10, you are absolutely wrong. According to an NBA insider, he helps confirm that the Knicks are not expanding the rotation. Instead, they're going to remove a player from the rotation once OG Anunoby and Mitchell Robinson return to the roster. Let's break down exactly what player will be removed from the lineup. Shout out to James L. Edwards of The Athletic for answering the following question. The question asked to him was, when Mitchell Robinson comes back, will Tom Thibodeau go with the 10-man rotation? If not, who's the odd man out of the lineup? According to Edwards, he states, I have a tough time seeing it. In the games leading up to the break, Thibodeau was playing 8 players significant minutes, and that factors in OG Anunoby being out with an ankle injury. Landry Shamet, who has played well as of late, was tossed back into the rotation once Anunoby went down. Once Anunoby and Robinson return, I think Thibodeau regularly plays 9 players, with Shamet likely being the odd man out. Of course, there may be some nights when Shamet gets in, but if everyone is healthy and the Knicks are in a tight game, it feels like a 9-man rotation is the safe bet. So like I said to start the show, Tom Thibodeau will not be expanding the rotation once we are fully healthy. Instead, he's going to limit it again, take Landry Shamet out of the rotation, and include OG Anunoby and Mitchell Robinson in the rotation. And this is not the only NBA insider confirming this. SNY's Ian Bagley also helps to confirm the following information as well, too. Who sits when Robinson and OG return? I don't see us playing more than 9 players. This was a question asked to Ian Bagley in a recent edition of his mailbag, and here was his following response to it. If I had to guess, Shamet would be out of the rotation. Like you, I'd be surprised if Tom Thibodeau goes with a 10-man rotation. It has been confirmed Tom Thibodeau will not be expanding the rotation to 10 players. Instead, he's going to further limit the rotation. He will be removing Landry Shamet from the lineup once OG Anunoby and Mitchell Robinson return. But the next question that always comes up is, if that's the case, then what is the starting unit going to look like? Who is going to start once OG Anunoby and Mitchell Robinson return? What about the bench unit? How is that lineup going to look? And who's going to get the most minutes off the bench? How many minutes would Mitchell Robinson get once he returns from injury? Is he going to be on a minutes restriction? And if so, how many minutes will he play to start out? Well, thanks to NBA insiders Ian Bagley and James L. Edwards of The Athletic, we have that following information as well too. Shout out to Ian Bagley for giving us the following information. He was asked this following question on a recent edition of his mailbag. Ian, what's the starting lineup expected to look like when Mitchell Robinson gets back? In the playoffs, do you think Thibs will ever switch it depending on the team? Here was Ian Bagley's response to this question. According to Bagley, my assumption here is that Towns will continue to start at center when Robinson is back. I think it will take some time for Robinson to regain his rhythm and conditioning. The Knicks definitely want to see a Robinson and Towns lineup. I'm sure both big men will share the floor regularly when Robinson returns. But I don't think that Thibodeau will change the starting lineup until it's clear that Robinson has shaken off, understandably, rust from his long layoff. And shout out to James L. Edwards of The Athletic for giving us this information about Robinson and a potential minutes restriction that he'll be on. According to Edwards, I'm also under the impression that Robinson will be on a minutes restriction when he gets back. I'm not reporting that, it's just a hunch. It's hard to imagine a 7-footer coming off of several surgeries who hasn't played in almost a year will just be able to go out there and play 23 plus minutes right away. So there is a chance the rotation looks a little funky while they work Robinson back in. But when he's a full go, assuming no one else is down, I think Tom Thibodeau goes with a 9-man rotation to close out the regular season. This was really a chance for New York to expand the rotation, but I guess that's too much hope to give Thibs. Normally, he sticks to a 9-man rotation, and it's clear he's going to continue to stick to that 9-man rotation as we move forward throughout this season, the postseason, and as we get healthier and get more players back. I honestly expected this. I didn't think he was going to go to 10 players, but a small part of me had some hope that just because now, given that Tom Thibodeau has 5 players on the bench that he trusts, and clearly he has trust for the starting 5 as well too, I thought it could have been a possibility that we see 5 bench players in the game and all 5 starters resting. But that is not going to happen. The best case that we're going to see is 4 bench players out there and 1 starter out there with them. Who that starter is going to be, it might change on a night-to-night basis. Some nights, Karl-Anthony Towns. Other nights, Josh Hart. Maybe more occasionally and frequently, that player will be Mikal Bridges. Because in my opinion, if you put Mikal in that situation, he will thrive and start giving you the numbers offensively that every single person watching him has been waiting for. But something I wanted to go back to that Ian Bagley stated here. He mentions, I don't think Tom Thibodeau will change the starting lineup until it's clear that Robinson has shaken off, understandably, rust from his long layoff. That is a very important update by Ian Bagley there. Because in my opinion, I thought that Robinson was never, ever going to start for this Knicks team again. But this information from Bagley here, it indicates that as soon as Mitchell Robinson comes back, he won't return at that point because he'll have a lot of rust and he'll have to work through that, plus get his legs back and get back to game conditioning. But it sounds like once he's back to full form and fully healthy again with no restrictions, it's a possibility that he could start for this Knicks team again. And if that happens, I don't know what that starting lineup is going to look like. Potentially, you're going to remove Josh Hart from that lineup, have Karl-Anthony Towns start at the 4, and Mitchell Robinson start at the 5. Could that actually happen? Would Tom Thibodeau do that? I don't think so. I really can't believe that. But given this piece of information that we have here from Ian Bagley, it sounds like that change could happen if Mitchell Robinson is fully healthy and has no issues, no restrictions, and no limitations. If Tom Thibodeau actually does that, it will shock me to my core because I never anticipated or expected that Robinson would be able to start for this Knicks team, a championship contender, given his injuries, his history, and all of the issues he's been dealing with as a Knick. But given this information from Ian Bagley, I think we all have a little bit more hope now that the starting lineup might change. We don't know when, we don't know how, and we don't know if it's going to be consistent. But we know there's a possibility that a change could happen in the starting lineup that would push Josh Hart to the bench and Mitchell Robinson in the starting lineup right alongside Karl-Anthony Towns. Time will tell to see if we see that lineup and when Tom Thibodeau feels comfortable enough to put that lineup out there against certain teams. All of these things are factors I'm going to be watching because it's going to be these things that influence Tom Thibodeau and what he does on a night-to-night basis. But we're getting fully healthy. Mitchell Robinson and OG Anunoby are close to returning, and a major change to the lineup is happening once they come back and return. But what about you guys? What do you think about James L. Edwards and Ian Begley confirming that once Anunoby and Robinson return, Landry Shamet will likely be out of the rotation to make room for both of these players? Let me know how you feel about that in the comment section below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below. And of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans, take care of yourself, your families, and each other. Peace and love.